So an insider is claiming that Gears of War Collection has been a frequent topic of conversation in recent times. It's a rumored remake or remastering of the legendary Gears title. And if you're eager to learn more, we've gathered the latest details. Gears was once one of Microsoft's most powerful franchises. Yeah, it's kind of been on ice. The last one was what? Gears, they called it like Gears 5, I think. Instead of like Gears of War 5, they just called it Gears 5. And that was like 2019, 2020. Oh, Tactics in 2020. Yeah, so it's been a minute. And of course they're working on, E-Day. They're working on stuff. It's not like they've been sitting on it doing nothing. It's not on ice or anything. But I'm interested to see what they do. I do think there is a lot of nostalgia with it, obviously. I mean, it's freaking Gears of War. So there's a lot of nostalgia. A collection or remake collection makes a lot of sense because I think that's easy money if it's done well. Especially these games are all like Unreal Engine games. They're like, imagine if they can just take these older games and port them forward to Unreal Engine 5 with like a lot of the modern bells and whistles. That could be super cool, dude. That could be really, really cool. So that would be interesting. But as we can see, we go through this. So the latest reports indicate that Gears of War Collection could release in mid-2025, possibly August of 2025. That would line up. Right now, there's kind of a hole in the Game Pass lineup. If this ended up being like the Game Pass release for that time frame, that could make a lot of sense. Again, this is all speculation, so take the information with a pinch of salt. Leaker Detective Seeds claims that Gears of War Collection is already on storefronts. They also claim the release period is likely mid-August. That's what they say. It is PS5 Pro enhanced. I've been told no multiplayer PvP though. Campaign focus only. That would be interesting. No PvP. That's like a lot of people's favorite part though. Like that's an interesting move. I mean, maybe what they're doing, if they're doing like a big collection, they have one of the games multiplayer mode, but just not the others. But yeah, that's a weird choice. I would assume the reason why is because you launch 3 games or more, whatever they end up doing in a collection. Do you have 3 different multiplayer modes and you pay for 3 different server infrastructures? And like, do you juggle that? It's a big headache. I think they should just like do PV or peer-to-peer stuff. Just do it that way. Keep it simple, dude. Like, have one player be the host. We live in 2025. Internet's pretty good. Okay. Like, I don't know why peer-to-peer stuff is such a no-no nowadays, especially for like more cooperative game loads. I know there's fears, especially with certain types of games with like IP address scraping and things like that, where streamers can have their IP addresses scraped and, you can end up with DDoS attacks and all sorts of stupid stuff. But maybe there's a way to protect against that if it's fed through a server that then can anonymize that stuff, but the primary connection is peer-to-peer. I don't know. I'm not paid enough and I'm not smart enough to figure this out. Banana says, if it's true, I would assume it's because they want to focus their multiplayer efforts on E-Day. Well, and you got to think like there's a pool of Gears like multiplayer players. There's a pool of a lot of them. Okay. And if you make a bunch of little multiplayer modes, you got one here, you got one here for the different games. Maybe one player loves this one, but really doesn't like these. So he's only going to play this one. But the problem is, like, this pool gets split up and all those players end up in each of these pools. It's literally just going to start to fracture and splinter off those players, because these players are the same ones you want to play your massive E-Day multiplayer mode where all the money is going to be made, like where they're going to have the cosmetics, where they're going to have the battle pass, whatever they end up doing. I have no idea what they'll do, but that's where they're going to be making their money. And so why put yourself in a position if you've got a bunch of players here, a bunch of players here, and a bunch of players here? They might not move to the new mode. You just be splintering the audience. So it seems instead what they're doing is just deciding, okay, well, forget this. That goes away. And now everybody just go straight into this mode. Hooray! Hooray! Maybe that's what they're thinking. I don't think that's a big deal though, because like my guess is it's expensive. I think that's probably what it is they're just like, we don't want to put that much effort in. Like, it's whatever. Because there's other examples of like old school games that have modern counterparts from the same companies. You could even look at something like, old Stronghold games, like Firaxis games and stuff like that, where they have multiplayer modes in those old school games that have been remastered, whatever, remade. And then they launch their new game and players still play it. Like, it's not that big of a deal, People might play the old school version for sake of nostalgia for like a week or two, or occasionally to be like, hey, remember we played that game in high school? Let's boot it up again and try it. They might do that, but I don't think it's going to be like their main game or anything. When they launch E-Day, I think most of those players end up being like, oh yeah, we got to go try that. So I don't know if I buy that excuse that it's like, we want to preserve player counts. We don't want to fracture it. I'm not sure if that makes sense. Realistically, it probably just is that we're gonna have to pay for like server upkeep. We're good. Let's just not. But it's if true, because again, this is coming from one leaker, one guy. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the no multiplayer PvP is coming from Detective Seeds. Maybe he's wrong. Maybe his source was wrong. Maybe, but that would be crazy if they actually were deciding to strip out PvP. It's just like the campaigns in these games are awesome. Exhibit A, they're crazy, but that would just be surprising because I know a lot of people who love Gears of War, and the vast majority of their playtime is in the multiplayer modes. So that would just be crazy to see. This would back up with industry insider Jez Corden's previous report that it's coming in 2025. Leakers and insiders tend to have exclusive information, as we know ourselves, that is usually correct. All signs point towards Gears of War collection and assortment of remade and reimagined Gears titles for 2025. Which games could be in it? They can't identify which Gears of War games will be added to the collection. It could be any number of the games from 1 to 5. I mean, I think the safest bet is 1 to 3. Just call it, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Maybe they go all the way through 5, but I mean, at that point, I think that's maybe a bit much. Let's see. The only report so far, also from Jez Corden, indicates that Gears of War 1 Ultimate Edition could be one of the games. One crucial aspect seemingly known about the collection is co-op is present, but there's no multiplayer. So just no PvP stuff. And this is a report. Yeah, Jez. Okay, so Jez also backed this up. What I miss? Rumors about God of War collection. What's the rumor? No multiplayer. The source doesn't exactly inspire confidence. So actually, I too have heard no multiplayer. Campaign co-op? Yeah, co-op, but not PvP. So now there's 2 different sources. Bro, why is acting like they didn't do this exact same thing with Master Chief Collection? There's an old saying. 2 wrongs do not make a right. And in this case, just because some other group or company or parent company, the same parent company, whatever, just because somebody else did something similar does not mean that we have to like it here. Okay? That's not how that works. Like, if my phone decides they're going to be like, hey, I'm trying to think of a really stupid example. We're going to remove the charging port and make a proprietary one so that you have to buy our cables to charge your phone. I'd be like, I don't like that. That is bad. I am upset about that. This company could go, well, Apple did it back in the day, so why are you upset? That's not a counter. It's like these other people did the same stupid thing we're doing, so therefore you have to like it. That doesn't follow. Like, it doesn't follow. So even if there are other examples of other companies stripping multiplayer from remasters and remakes, okay, but that doesn't mean that we have to like it in this case, And furthermore, like, you can't just blindly point to other examples, because there's like Gears of War is Gears of War. The PvP experience is like part of its DNA. It's a pretty huge part of it, which is why this has garnered a big reaction, because people are like, why would you take out something so integral to the experience that people know and love about Gears of War? I still think it sells well. I still think Gears fans will buy it, but I do think it's just a weird decision. It's like, why? Like, why are we doing that? That just seems stupid. But okay, whatever. I remember the Master Chief Collection was $60, and the Master Chief Collection had all the multiplayer modes in the game. Yeah, it's a better value. I mean, I find this very surprising that they would be doing it, because realistically, like you'd be using the Microsoft Azure cloud, like you have all the money and resources you could possibly need to do it. Like, is it really moving the profitability markers that much? Like, really? It was also super broken at launch. True. But that's another one where, like, if this ends up launching super broken for several years and people are like, yeah, but Master Chief Collection was broken. It's like, yeah, we didn't like it then either. Like, we're upset about both. Okay. So I don't know. It's a very interesting thing. I find that an interesting choice to make. I mean, like I said, the campaigns are still good. There's still reason to check it out and get it. And especially as like a Game Pass title, if it ends up, taking that route, which it probably does. Almost certainly does. That, it still could be worth jumping into, but it is surprising that they're stripping out something that many people consider to be like core to the experience. It's like announcing that, oh, we're going to remaster the old Monster Hunter games, but no co-op. It's like, but co-op was like a pretty crucial thing. No co-op. You can go to the hubs together. You can do that part together. You can do main story missions together, but no co-op in regular hunts and like dynamic hunts, optional hunts, stuff like that. Be like, why are we doing that? Why are we doing that? It's as always, the answer is probably just money. But again, that doesn't mean that we have to necessarily like it, Remaster the old Monster Hunter games, FPS still in single digits. Yeah, I mean, I've heard stories of those old school Monster Hunter games. I don't know if you can remaster those. I think a lot of them you'd have to just straight up remake, because I think a lot of it doesn't scale.
He took my thing.